I'm a father who wants to escape his own family. It all started when my 5-year-old daughter suddenly said to me, "Dad, can you make Mom remarry?" I was completely dumbfounded and asked her why. She replied, "I've been bound to a system with a mission. If Mom doesn't marry Uncle Ito, I'll be erased." I was speechless. At first, I just thought I should tell my wife, Willow, to stop reading so many system mission web novels to her. But one night, I heard my daughter's childish voice. She said, "Mom, if I say that to Dad, will he really agree to get divorced, leave with nothing, and let Uncle Ito become my dad?" Willow's eyes turned red, and she choked back tears as she said, Your dad tricked me like that back then. That's how we ended up having you." At that moment, I suddenly felt exhausted, so I called out to the system, "I want to go home." Chapter 1. The system, which had been dormant for a long time, woke up again. Hearing this, it was shocked. "Host, you've already perfectly conquered your previous mission. You're living a life of comfort in this world. You have a beautiful wife and a well-behaved daughter. Why would you choose to go back?" I didn't answer. The conversation in the yard continued. As my daughter wiped Willow's tears, she said, "Mom, I promise I'll complete the mission. I'll help you drive Dad, that big villain, away as soon as possible, and let Uncle Ito marry you." Willow let out a soft laugh. "All right, it's a deal. Our Mia has grown up. She knows how to protect her mom now." I stared blankly at the moon in the sky and said to the system, "Because I miss home." The system didn't understand. "Isn't this your home?" I shook the divorce agreement in my hand. "Very soon, it won't be." Chapter 2. A week ago, my daughter, who was still in kindergarten, was driven home by a man. That man was the father of one of her classmates. His name was Makoto. He was divorced and single, raising his son alone as both father and mother. Yet he never missed any kindergarten events. He was widely recognized as a great dad. My daughter held his hand tightly, stubbornly tilting her head up as she said, "Dad, I want Uncle Ito to be my dad." I thought it was just childish nonsense. After all, she had once said she wanted to marry Kaito Ito. So I smiled and asked her why. She pressed her lips together and said, "Because I've been bound to a conquest system. The system told me that if Mom doesn't marry Makoto Ito, I'll be erased by the system. I'll die, and you'll never see me again." Thinking back to how she had been complaining about headaches frequently these past few days, and how the hospital found nothing wrong, I believed her. I thought the headaches were punishment from the system. Makoto couldn't help but laugh. He gently patted my daughter's head and said, "Hey, you can't say things like that. I know you like me, but saying this will hurt your dad's feelings. If he gets mad, he might spank you." My daughter immediately panicked. She rushed at me, punching and kicking. She shouted, "No, I don't want you. You're not my dad. My dad is Uncle Ito. You bad guy. I want Uncle Ito to be my dad. I want Mom to marry Uncle Ito." Her fists fell on me like raindrops, but I stood there, ashen-faced. Even after the housekeeper pulled her away, I was still blaming myself. Why did the system choose my daughter? She's still so young. What will happen to her in the future? Chapter 3. The reason I could take my daughter's words seriously was because I myself had transmigrated into this world. Back then, when I failed to complete the system's mission as required, the initial punishment was electric shocks to my head, and the punishments only grew harsher each time. Anxious and restless, I wanted to talk to my wife about what to do. As I passed by the garden, under the moonlight, I saw two familiar figures. My daughter asked, "Mom, I said what you told me to yesterday. Do you think Dad will believe it? Will he really divorce you and let Uncle Ito become my dad?" Willow's eyes were red as she said, Your dad tricked me like that before. That's how we ended up having you." Then she added, "Keep doing what I taught you. Tell your dad every day that your head hurts, your legs hurt, your stomach hurts. That way, he'll leave faster and walk away with nothing." Under the moonlight, my daughter nodded firmly. She said, "That's great. Dad is finally leaving. I don't like him at all." I stood there, frozen. My temples throbbed violently, and waves of nausea churned in my stomach. Chapter 4. I returned to my room, and began trying to sort through everything that had happened over the past few years. After successfully conquering the mission, I built my own career and worked tirelessly every day. Meanwhile, Willow quit her job to take better care of our child and became a full-time housewife. She actively participated in kindergarten parent-child activities and even joined the parent committee of our daughter's class. It was probably around that time that she met Makoto and grew close to him. Later, she developed a passion for fitness and cycling, saying she had formed a workout group with other parents. She would go out for night runs every few days. I had been too foolish. I never noticed that Willow and Makoto had already been secretly involved. Chapter 5. Because I hadn't been eating properly for several days, my hypoglycemia suddenly flared up. It was my assistant who found me collapsed on the floor. She helped me up and quickly called Willow. "Ma'am, Mr. Wang has fainted. It was noisy on her end. Willow replied impatiently. He fainted. Why are you calling me? Am I a doctor? I seriously don't know what kind of useless people my husband hires. You can't even handle something like this yourself. I'm busy. There's a parent-child activity at the kindergarten today. I still have to help Mia braid her hair. I'm hanging up. After eating something, I recovered slightly. Then something occurred to me, so I messaged Mia's kindergarten teacher on WeChat. Hello. May I ask if there's a parent-child activity at the kindergarten today? The reply came quickly. Yes, there is. But your wife already asked for leave today. Didn't you know, Mr. Wang? I froze for a moment, then asked again. Who else took leave? The teacher replied. Kaito didn't come either. His father seems to be unwell and was hospitalized. I instantly understood the noise I heard during the phone call earlier. It was the beeping of hospital equipment. My wife, at that very moment, was in the hospital, keeping Makoto company by his bedside. That night, Willow and my daughter came home very late. As soon as they entered, my daughter cried in front of me, clutching her head, sobbing. She said, Mom, my head hurts so much. My stomach hurts too. Am I going to die because I can't complete the mission? I don't want to die. Mom, save me. Willow handed her to the nanny, then turned to me and said, George, I want to talk to you. Chapter 6. The topic of our discussion was nothing more than our daughter. She said she wanted to have a fake divorce with me, and then temporarily marry Makoto. The reason she was still consulting me was because she wanted me to leave with nothing. After all, the family's money was in my hands. She had grown used to the life of a wealthy housewife. How could she possibly endure a hard life with Makoto? She was still lying to me. She said, Hubby, I just want some security. Once our daughter completes her mission like you did, we'll remarry. Seeing that I remained silent, she grew irritated. Search your conscience. After all these years, how much have I sacrificed for this family? I gave up my own life, quit my job to be a housewife, and placed my entire future on you. But I get worried too. I feel insecure too. Asking you to leave with nothing is just a test of your love, and you're already unwilling. Do you even love me? Do you even love your daughter? Even if you don't think about me, you should think about your daughter, right? I looked at her coldly and asked, Do you love him? For a brief moment, I saw panic flash across her face, but she quickly calmed down. Hubby, he's just Mia's classmate's father. How could I possibly fall for him? I asked. Then where did you go today? I asked Mia's teacher. You took leave and didn't go. This time, she gave no explanation. She only said, Don't be so selfish. Our daughter's life is at stake, and you're still nitpicking over trivial things. George, I'm so disappointed in you. After saying that, she threw the divorce agreement down and angrily added, George, don't think I'm easy to bully. Mia is my flesh and blood. For her sake, I won't hesitate to take you to court. I watched her retreating figure. For the first time, she felt like a complete stranger. Chapter 7. I came to this world 20 years ago. During these 20 years, I delivered takeout, lived in basements, and stared at the moon countless times at 3 in the morning. I worked desperately, giving all the money I earned to Willow so she could study abroad. Finally, she returned after completing her graduate studies, and my career had begun to take shape. Not long after, she married me without hesitation. On our wedding day, I confessed my secret to her. I said, Willow, actually, this world is a novel, and I'm someone who transmigrated into it. My mission is to correct your storyline, to make sure you don't deviate from the main plot and live out your life as intended. Still in shock, she asked if my mission was complete. Holding her in my arms, I said, There's only one final task left, having a child with you. She asked, If the mission is completed, will you never leave me again? Back then, there was still light in my eyes. I replied, Never again. She said she loved me and didn't want me to be erased by the system, to disappear completely from her world. Not long after we got married, we had a child, a girl, who smiled just like her. Thinking back now, I let out a self-mocking laugh. I had overestimated myself. I thought I had warmed the heart of a fictional character. After a sleepless night, I finally figured everything out. I awakened the long-dormant system. Hello, system. I want to go home. Chapter 8. The electronic voice in my mind sounded once again. Beep. Host request detected. If you choose to leave the novel world and return to the real world, the original owner of this body will be immediately erased. Have you made your decision? I hesitated. I went downstairs and stopped outside my daughter's room. I found her on a video call with Makoto Ito. She said, Uncle Ito, don't worry, I'll drive my dad away very soon. Makoto was smiling smugly on the other side of the screen. He said, Mia is such a good girl. Mia replied, I want to protect Mom and defeat the big villain. Dad is the big villain, Makoto said. No matter what, he's still your father. Your mom would be upset if she heard that. Mia answered. But Mom doesn't like Dad either. She said she's disliked him for a long time. He's boring and not romantic at all. He can't compare to you, Uncle Makoto. Hearing that, Makoto's smile grew even more smug. Through the screen, he noticed me standing behind the door. He gave me a provocative smile, as if to say, "You've lost." I ignored him. As I passed through the living room, Willow was frowning while scrolling on her phone, looking irritated. When she saw me approaching, she rolled her eyes impatiently and said, "Have you signed the agreement?" Today, she was wearing a new necklace. The pendant was exactly the same as the one Makoto had posted online. I handed her the document and said, "It's signed, but I don't agree to leaving with nothing." At the same moment, in my mind, I replied to the system, "I've made my decision. Please erase me, immediately." Chapter 9. I collapsed abruptly right in front of Willow. I hadn't even managed to place the stack of agreements properly on the table. With a slight touch from my hand, the papers scattered everywhere like snowflakes, just like the sins she had committed, impossible to hide. Those who betray sincerity deserve to swallow 10,000 needles. A sneaky, cheating cat will eventually eat a spoiled fish. One's unfaithful, the other's rotten, made for each other. I had already revised the agreement and hired a lawyer. Other than what she already held, she wouldn't get a single cent more. At the same time, I submitted evidence of Willow's affair. After my death, all that evidence would be made public. She could twist black into white. But the scattered surveillance cameras in the kindergarten wouldn't lie. Before they could destroy the evidence, I had already exported all the footage. Those images were disgusting enough to make someone lose their appetite for 3 days. For someone like her, who cared so much about appearances, it would be devastating. She said, "Fine, you don't have to leave with nothing. Then give me the house, the car, and 5 million in savings. Let's get the divorce done first. You can't possibly refuse that too, right?" The moment she finished speaking, my vision went black, and I collapsed to the ground. The fall was heavy. My head slammed hard against the floor, but Willow only glanced at me briefly. Then she rolled her eyes and said, "Trying to fake your death again to trick me. Who do you think cares? George, can you grow up a little? I'm not some 17-year-old girl anymore. This act doesn't work on me," she added irritably. "I endured so many years of hardship with you. Is my youth not even worth 5 million? Can't we just separate peacefully?" I gave no response. She frowned, glared at me again, and said impatiently, "Looks like it's really just low blood sugar again. You're always like this. When you get busy, you forget to eat or drink. Who's supposed to take care of you? Live or die? I don't care." She took out her phone and made a call. "Housekeeper." George collapsed again. "Yeah, call the doctor." She paused for a second, then added, "Oh, and bring Mia over too. I ordered matching outfits. We're going to try them on this afternoon." After hanging up, she let out a cold snort, her lips curling downward in disdain. In the past, I always thought she had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, that her harsh words came from concern. But when she was sick and needed me, when had I ever spoken to her like this? Forget criticizing her. Even the slightest inconvenience would make her lose her temper at me. Willow put down her phone and glanced at me again. The shirt I was wearing cost less than 30 yuan. It was a gift Willow had given me back then. I had worn it through wind and rain, earning my first bucket of gold in life. So even after I became wealthy, it remained the one I wore most often, the one I loved the most. I had never been particular about myself, but when it came to her, I had never been stingy. Jewelry worth tens of thousands, clothes, handbags. As long as she liked them, I wouldn't even blink before buying them. But only now, as my soul floated in midair, did I finally understand. There are always people in this world who dress this kind of thing up nicely. They say it doesn't matter if a man dresses poorly, as long as he can keep his woman looking glamorous. But in the end, it's just one person getting used to sacrificing himself, while the other gets used to taking it for granted. I looked down at my body lying on the floor. When I fell earlier, that shirt had been torn open by the edge of the table. A jagged rip stretched wildly from my back all the way to the sleeve. What a pitiful sight, seeing me lying alone on the floor. Perhaps out of pity, or perhaps because there was still a trace of love left for me. Willow crouched down, intending to help me up, but the moment she touched my body, she froze. Chapter 10. Beep. The system has detected the death of a character in the inner world. Your soul cannot remain separated from your body for too long. Host, it's time for you to leave. The final scene was Willow holding my corpse, completely hysterical. Mia, who had been brought over, grabbed the doll I had given her and threw it at me. When she saw me lying on the ground, she danced with joy. She said, "This is great. I defeated Dad, the big villain. Uncle Ito can be my new dad now." When the heart is truly dead, there are no emotions left at all. I said to the system, "Let's go." Chapter 11. I transmigrated into this book because of a car accident. The system told me that as long as I completed the missions according to its instructions, I would receive rewards. One of those rewards was returning to the moment before the car accident, allowing me to avoid it and start life over. But a few years ago, I gave that up. I chose to stay in the book and spend the rest of my life with Willow. Although I had accumulated a lot of wealth in this world, the worlds were not connected. I couldn't take any of that money with me, so I had my lawyer donate all my assets to an orphanage. I came here with nothing, and I would leave the same way. The system asked me if it was worth it. Without even thinking, I replied, "Of course it's not worth it." Say, "Can't you upgrade your program a bit and let me take a few $100 million with me?" The system fell silent for a moment, then said, "I will report your suggestion to the main system." Inside the spacetime tunnel, I felt uneasy. I didn't know where I was heading. "Hey, system, can I ask, where will I go now?" The system paused for a moment before replying. "Host, your conquest mission has already been completed. However, you chose to give up the reward. You will return to the moment of the car accident and experience the pain again. Whether you live or die, even I don't know. I had just endured heartbreak, and now I had to go through physical pain again. At that point, I might as well just die." The system sensed my weak will to live. It spoke hesitantly. "Well, how about this? Since your mission completion rate was 200%, I've applied for a special benefit for you. As long as you give me a 5-star review after you return, I'll grant you a protective shield. The car will just brush past you. You won't be harmed at all." "Oh, you should have said that earlier." I nodded rapidly and said, "Deal." Chapter 12. Just like that, I returned to the real world. When that truck brushed past me, it felt like I had just woken up from a dream. It wasn't until the system's overly sweet voice echoed in my mind, "Leave a like. Host, don't forget the 5-star review." 5 stars. Okay, 5 stars, that I realized. None of it had been a dream. I went back to the apartment I used to rent. On the table was my computer, still on. On the screen was the manuscript I had just submitted to an editor's inbox. A manuscript with an uncertain fate, and a life with an uncertain future. Outside the window, daisies were in full bloom, and sunlight poured brightly into the room. That's when it truly hit me. I was really back. It was time to let go of the past and begin a new life. No amount of wealth can buy a second chance. Yet this time, it was as if I had spent everything just to turn back. So be it, I thought to myself. Perhaps this is the true meaning of being reborn. Chapter 13. And so, I applied for a long leave from my editor, gave up the apartment, and left the noise of the city behind. I went to a mountain village to start my life over. There were many left behind children there, about the same age as Mia. They weren't born with silver spoons in their mouths. Their childhood companions were muddy pits, dry wells, and the cats and dogs in the yard. I became a volunteer teacher. Time passed quietly. Just when I thought this was how the rest of my life would go, I received a call from the village chief. He sounded incoherent over the phone. He said he had seen 2 crazy people. At first, he wanted to call the police, but then thought that crazy people wouldn't look that well put together. So he questioned them more carefully. That's when he learned they had come here looking for someone, looking for a man named George. He said, "A woman with a little girl came. From the way they dress, they look like they're from the city." "Teacher Chan, you're from the city too. Do you know someone named George?" The woman says George is her husband. He's gone missing, and she's been searching everywhere. Somehow, she ended up in our village. Chapter 14. George. That was my name in the book. Not many people knew that name. A woman and a little girl. I froze in shock. My phone slipped from my hand and hit the ground. "Are you all right, Teacher Chan?" the village chief asked. I quickly picked up the phone. "Chief, you should call the police. Help them report it. If they're looking for someone, wouldn't it be faster to involve the police?" After saying that, I hurriedly tried to hang up, but then I heard a sudden voice. "Dad, that's Dad's voice." Chapter 15. An hour later, a few mule calls came from outside the door. Then, Willow and Mia were sitting in front of me, face to face with me. The flow of time in the book and in reality was different. I had only been back in the real world for 1 year. But in the book, 5 full years had already passed. Mia had grown up, and Willow had aged considerably. She was only 35. Yet fine lines had already formed at the corners of her eyes. Mia was covered in dirt, like a child just pulled out of the mud. The moment she saw me, she threw herself into my arms. "Dad," sob. "I finally found you. Please don't abandon me." "Okay, Dad, I missed you so much." She cried miserably, every word filled with accusations that I had heartlessly abandoned her. Was it really me who abandoned her? I pushed her away. Looking at her, I said clearly, word by word, "Mia, I never abandoned you. It was you. You said it yourself. You didn't want me anymore." Hearing this, she cried even harder. she said stubbornly. It was you who abandoned me. I won't listen. I won't listen. It was you. How can a father argue with a child like this? Willow sat beside her in silence. She just sat there, watching me. Only after Mia had cried herself tired did she finally speak. Aren't you going to give us an explanation? I spread my hands. I'm not the one who needs to explain anything, but who could tell me? How did the two of them end up in the real world? In my mind, I frantically called out to the system. After a long while, the system finally responded, stretching lazily and letting out a yawn. Hello, my dear host. Long time no see. What can I do for you today? You don't seem to be in a very good mood. Interesting. Clearly, it had also seen the two people standing in front of me. It continued. Wait a moment. Host, this is clearly abnormal. As far as I know, the inner world and the outer world should never overlap. Because of your 5-star review, the main system granted me a long vacation. I'm not sure what happened either. Let me check the database first and see what exactly went wrong. Seeing me lost in thought, Willow waved her hand in front of me and said, George, I'll tell you everything that happened after you left. I waved my hand dismissively and said, sorry, MS. Lou. My surname is Chan now. You can call me Mr. Chan, or Teacher Chan. Chapter 16. After I died, she made a huge fuss for a long time. She kept saying, he just skipped meals occasionally. How could he die? He only had stomach pain once in a while. How could he just die like that? It wasn't until the doctor handed her the report. The doctor said, MS. Lou, these are your husband's medical reports over the years. He specifically instructed us not to let you know, but now that Mr. Wang has passed away, I think you should see them. Willow's hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. To support her studying abroad, I worked day and night delivering takeout and parcels. After a car accident, my knees and lower back were left with lasting injuries. They didn't show much normally, but when they flared up, the pain was like being pierced through the heart. But I didn't dare to stop. During the day, I delivered food. At night, I occasionally took on illustration work. I lived in that dark basement because of the poor lighting. My eyesight kept getting worse. Later, after I earned some money, I had lens implant surgery, but even then, my eyes remained sensitive to light and would tear up in the wind. During those long days of surviving on instant noodles, I developed severe gastritis. Even after treatment, my stomach remained fragile. I couldn't even tolerate strong smells. Otherwise, I would feel nauseous and retch. Because of long-term malnutrition, I suffered from chronic hypoglycemia. Whenever it struck, I would faint. I had already been living in so much pain. I could have applied to the system to leave at any time, but I didn't. I endured everything in silence, just to spend one more day with her. But she, in the dark bedroom, Willow sat on the bed, hugging her knees, her tears already dried. At that moment, Makoto knocked on the door. He sighed and said, Willow, George is already dead, completely gone from this world. He's never coming back. Now you have me. I'll love you and Mia properly. The three of us can live a good life together. That's what matters most. Those words struck Willow like a bolt of thunder. She slapped Makoto hard across the face and screamed hysterically. It's you who killed George. The slap was not light. Makoto winced in pain, baring his teeth, but when he looked up, he still wore that ingratiating expression. Willow, I don't understand what you're talking about. George died from cardiac arrest. It has nothing to do with me. And the one who caused his heart to stop wasn't me either. 5-year-old Mia stood at the doorway, frightened into loud sobbing. Willow glared at her and snapped, Get out. Only then did Makoto realize that Willow was truly angry. He changed his tone again, speaking with feigned sympathy. Willow, I know you're in pain after George's death, but everyone has their fate. His destiny ended there, and yours is to move forward with me. Trust me, I'll give you an even happier life. But Willow no longer believed him. She actually devised a plan to drug him unconscious, tied him up in the basement, and interrogated him, under severe torture. He finally confessed. Makoto was also a transmigrator, a conquest agent. His mission was to drive me away and conquer Willow. At this point, Willow became visibly emotional. Choking with tears, she said, Hubby, look, I do love you. I was just blinded by that so-called system. I couldn't tell right from wrong anymore. Couldn't tell who truly loved me. I was deceived by Makoto. He had the system's support. It was like he cast a spell on me. So I fell for him. After you died, I woke up immediately. I don't love him. The one I've always loved is you. Chapter 17. And indeed, just as she said, after I died, she forced everything about the system out of Makoto. I had told her about it before, but she refused to believe me. Makoto was locked in a pitch-dark basement. When he was tortured to the brink of death, he tried to apply to the system to leave, but since he hadn't completed his mission, there was no such option. He had only one path left, to be erased by the system for mission failure. He disappeared completely from this world. on the day he died. He saw Mia, thinking a child might be easy to manipulate. He tried to trick her into helping him escape, but the moment Mia saw him, she ran far away, shouting as she fled, "You big villain, even worse than my dad, I'll punish you in the name of the moon." The system carried out the erasure. Makoto died in agony. His limbs broke, blood flowed from all 7 orifices, and then he vanished into nothing. However, there was one thing Willow didn't mention. If she truly hadn't believed what I said about the system before, then why did she teach Mia to say those things about being bound to a system, just to force me into a divorce? It's like a pet that's been lost and then found again. It never asks its owner why it ended up in a pet shop that day. Some answers are already understood without being spoken. Later, a research institute claimed they had created a time travel machine, although everyone thought it was a scam. Willow still spent all her savings just for a chance to travel through time. She input Mia's DNA into the machine to locate my position. The researchers said, "Ms. Liu, are you sure you want to go in? This experiment is not fully developed. The future is unpredictable. You might die inside, or you might never come back." Without hesitation, Willow replied, "I've made my decision. Start the machine." Just as she was about to step in, a small hand grabbed her sleeve. "Mom, I want to go too. I kind of miss Dad." When they opened their eyes again, they had fallen into a mountain valley. Chapter 18. Dad, wasn't I brave? The space-time tunnel was so dark, I was really scared. But when I thought about the stories you used to tell me when I was little, I wasn't afraid anymore. But that kind of tunnel, I had walked through it alone twice. The first time, full of hope. The second time, with a heart already dead. Dad, it was my fault. I was too young and didn't understand. Now I'm 10 years old. I know Uncle Ito was the bad one. He's the one who caused your death. Dad, can you forgive me?" As she spoke emotionally, she began to cry again. At that moment, my door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. A group of small, fluffy heads peeked in. The child at the front held a stick, clearly thinking someone had come to cause trouble. Seeing the scene, he looked confused and asked, "Dad, what's going on?" Chapter 19. Dad. Hearing the child who rushed into the room call me that, Willow and Mia both froze. Mia reacted in less than a second. She rushed forward and shoved the boy at the front to the ground. She screamed hysterically, "Who allowed you to call him that? He's my dad alone." The boy who fell was named Jack. He was a child of a nearby herdsman. Jack had lost his parents at a young age and grew up relying on the kindness of others. Later, I took him in, so the child acknowledged me as his adoptive father. Chapter 20. I shut the two of them outside. They had nowhere to go, so they set up a small thatched hut next door. They ate, lived, and slept there. Willow and Mia said they wanted to stay, and staying meant she had fallen from the clouds back into the mud. Her former life of luxury was gone. All that remained was simple food, drafty walls, and a leaking roof. Last night, there was a heavy storm. Their hut was destroyed by the rain. Thunder roared in the sky. Mia was so frightened she cried uncontrollably. In the middle of the night, after being soaked by the rain, she developed a high fever, drenched from head to toe. Willow held Mia and crouched at my door. With tearful eyes, she said, "George, please save her. She's your child too." I found a donkey cart and took Mia to the town hospital overnight. After a long, exhausting night, her fever finally subsided. Drained in both body and mind, I prepared to return home, but Willow grabbed my hand. After 20 years together, how could I not recognize that warmth? And yet now, my heart remained completely unmoved. I shook her hand off. When I looked up, I saw her eyes had reddened. Outside, there was only a dim kerosene lamp. Under that faint light, the hair at her temples looked even more streaked with white. She asked, "George, is there really no way back?" I looked at her silently and said, "There's no going back." Her hair had turned white overnight, on the day the doctor declared my death. After that, she searched everywhere for me, no longer caring about her appearance. She used to be a girl who loved beauty so much. I brought her some hair dye. I said, "It's plant-based. It won't harm your body. You should dye it." She gazed into the distance. After a long while, she murmured, "May there be no years to look back on. And may we grow old together in deep love." That was once my favorite line of poetry. I had recited it in front of her before, so I asked her, "What are the first 2 lines of that poem?" She froze in place, unable to answer. "See. She says she loves me, yet she doesn't even know the first 2 lines of my favorite poem." Chapter 21. Mia had been spoiled since childhood. There was no way she could get used to the harsh life in the mountains. In less than half a month, she was already crying about wanting to go back. Willow could only patiently tell her, "We can't go back anymore." Mia seemed unable to understand. She asked, "Why can't we go back? We can just take that time machine again." Go back with Dad. Live in the big villa with a swimming pool. And have the nanny cook for us every day. She cried and threw tantrums, insisting on going back. Willow finally lost her patience and slapped her. Willow had grown much quieter. She stopped talking and silently did everything for me. Every day, she walked several kilometers to the town to buy things. Without money, she made handicrafts to sell, using the earnings to buy me a pound of pork ribs. She said, "George, this is your favorite, sweet and sour ribs. You used to say you loved the ones I made more than anything. Even better than what 5-star hotels serve." I immediately waved my hand and called out, "Kids, come here. We've got something good to eat today." After this happened several times, Willow became unhappy. She said, "Do you have to do this?" I was puzzled. "Haven't I always been like this?" Willow was so angry she ran outside. Not long after, shouts came from outside. It was Jack's voice. I hurried out in the direction of the sound. Jack was covering his eyes, his face full of terror. Following his gaze, I froze on the spot. Chapter 22. Inside the cardboard box in front of me lay several kitten corpses, scattered in disarray. They were the kittens of Dumpling and Dango. Dumpling and Dango were stray cats we had taken in just a week ago. They had become parents. A terrible premonition struck me instantly. I turned and looked toward Mia, who was hiding in the corner. She pretended to look outside, then mimicked everyone else with a frightened expression and said, "Oh my God, how did the kittens die? Did a wolf come into the yard?" Her acting wasn't convincing. Every movement exposed her as the culprit. I strode over to her and searched her bag, pulling out a rope. Through gritted teeth, I said, "Tell me, why did you do this?" Mia was startled by me. The moment I raised my voice, she burst into tears, sobbing. She said, "Wah. Dad and Mom can only have one child. You can't have so many children." After saying that, she took out a small black kitten she had hidden in her bag. She said, "I like kittens, but Dad and Mom can only have one child. The others aren't allowed. I love this little black one the most, so I kept her." But what she didn't know was, the kitten she claimed to love the most had already been suffocated to death by her. Jack was furious. He rushed forward and shoved Mia to the ground, shouting, "Do you even know these cats were picked up and raised by Dad himself?" Mia refused to accept it and got up, ready to fight back. I grabbed her wrist. Perhaps I used too much force. Finger marks instantly appeared on her arm. And Willow stood there silently, watching everything. Finally, she spoke. "The reason Mia turned out like this is because you irresponsibly left. But she's still a child. If both parents stay by her side, she can change. Hubby, can we start over? Let's raise Mia properly together, just like before, okay?" Chapter 23. The next day, I threw all their belongings out. I said, "Get out, all of you. Get out. Don't force me to lay hands on you. Never appear in front of me again." Mia started crying again. She had always loved to cry since she was little, just like Willow. She believed that crying and throwing tantrums could solve everything. If she couldn't get candy, she cried. If she couldn't play on her phone, she cried. If she wanted to go out and couldn't, she cried. If I didn't buy her the toy she wanted, she cried. At kindergarten, she would snatch things from her classmates. If they refused, she would cry first, playing the victim, thinking that would earn her forgiveness. Her crying gave me headaches, and I knew she wasn't an easy child to raise. So I had always been strict with her, and yet, Makoto only needed to give her a few pieces of candy. And she cried about wanting a new father. Willow choked with tears and said, "George, I love you. Can't we really start over?" She clutched the corner of my clothes, refusing to let go. The next second, slap, I struck her across the face. Looking at her stunned expression, I said, word by word, "You want me to say it out loud, don't you?" No matter how twisted Mia is, she couldn't have killed those cats alone. 12 of them, 12 kittens. Willow, you always said you loved cats the most. I never thought you'd become this deranged. You don't care about Mia at all. You're just using her as a pawn," I said coldly. "There's no need to use this kind of method to force me to start over with you. Whatever Mia becomes in the future has nothing to do with me. I already have nothing to do with you. And the same goes for her. Do you understand?" Chapter 24. Willow was a selfish person. She knew how to go back. Once the system's loophole was fixed, it would forcibly send her back, but the time she would return to was before she ever met me. She must have already gotten that information from Makoto. In the novel, she was supposed to be a tragic heroine, but now it seemed that this so-called tragic heroine was nothing more than a parasitic leech. It was only because she met me that she had someone to rely on, someone to drain. After my death, her world collapsed. Everything she once had slipped away from her. There was no longer any peaceful, stable life. Her remaining savings couldn't sustain her for long. So, even though everyone believed it was a scam, she still bet everything she had on one chance. She wanted to bring me back, to make me continue being her provider. Before leaving, she cried and said, "Hubby, I've lied to you about many things, but the one thing I never lied about is loving you. I love you. I thought you would never leave me. I just made one mistake. Does that mean I deserve a death sentence?" I sneered. Enough. Late affection is cheaper than grass. You only love yourself. Chapter 25. My life returned to how it used to be. I buried the kittens. On the hillside behind the village, a place with clear waters and beautiful scenery, Dango used to love rolling over there. Lying on the ground and letting me rub its belly, it would lick my fingers, looking at me as if I were its entire universe. I stayed in that small mountain village, because I had reported the bug to the system early. It said it could request a mysterious gift package from the main system for me. Without hesitation, I said, "Then bring Dango, Dumpling, and all their kittens back to life." The system lagged for a moment and said, "There's actually also a bonus of 500 million. I smiled. "I'll take both." The next second, 2 lively cats came running from afar. Behind them, a group of stumbling little kittens followed. Chapter 26. Willow returned to the time before she met me. Of course, at this point, Mia no longer existed either. The day I met her was her 10th birthday. She was just like the female lead in a tragic novel, an alcoholic father, a gambling mother, a vicious grandmother, and a shattered her. That day, she sat alone beside the deep well in the yard, just because she wanted to buy a palm-sized cake for her birthday. She was slapped and driven out by her alcoholic father. She looked down at the bottom of the well in despair. In the dark, deep water, there was the bright reflection of the moon. Suddenly, everything felt so familiar. A small stone slipped along the edge of the well and fell into the water, sending splashes everywhere. She suddenly remembered, in her previous life, she had met me right here. Back then, in utter despair, she had jumped into the well, and my appearance had saved her. Yes, as if recalling something all at once. Even without me, she was the female lead of this world. There would always be some other transmigrator who would come to redeem her. She glanced around. Everything was pitch black. Aside from the curses of her drunken father, there was nothing else. She hesitated for a moment, then jumped into the well. Drowning was not a pleasant experience. The icy, bone-chilling water surged into every opening of her body. Very soon, she could no longer breathe. Even her ears swelled with pain. She struggled to reach upward, hoping someone would pull her out, just like the first time we met, when I pulled her out of the well. But no one came, until the last trace of air in her lungs was squeezed out by the water. Just like that, she died. But she also lived again. She started over once more. An alcoholic father, a gambling mother, a vicious grandmother, and a shattered her. That day, she sat alone beside the deep well in the yard, just because she wanted to buy a palm-sized cake for her birthday. She was slapped and driven out by her alcoholic father. She looked down at the bottom of the well in despair. In the dark, deep water, there was the bright reflection of the moon. She suddenly felt that everything was so familiar. In Greek mythology, Sisyphus failed to fulfill his promise to the god of death. As punishment, he was forced to push a massive boulder up a mountain. Once it reached the top, it would roll back down, and he would have to push it up again, over and over, to atone for his sins. This fable now applied to Willow. I had the system leave her with a tiny fragment of memory. The tragic female lead in this redemption story only wanted to rely on being saved by others. She refused to make any effort herself. Because of this small trace of greed, she would keep dying, reviving, and dying again. An endless cycle. In this world, there is no punishment more terrifying than futile effort. I was once the same. So let her experience it herself, just a little.